Welcome to the Great International Craft Show with Craft Alive here in Australia. Wow, I can't believe it's day 4 already. Seriously, where'd the last 3 days go? They just zip by. It's like that, a real craft show too. Or in-person craft show, I shouldn't say a real one. Okay, so let's get into this page that you've just seen at the front that we're going to make today. So we are going to use this white cutout person, and we're going to use this white cutout person, and we are going to incorporate it into an art journal page. So this is one of our new mixed media releases, or art journaling releases. They're made out of 400 GSM cardstock, and they're laser cut. So sometimes there's a little bit of burn marks on them, but you can easily paint over them. And they are reversible as well, depending on this one. It reversed quite well. It's sort of symmetrical, so it really doesn't matter. But some of them are facing one direction or facing up or down, and you can certainly reverse them. That's not a problem. So first thing I want to do, I'm working my altered book, so I need to put down some gesso. And yes, my gesso is in a good old Vegemite jar. I have a litre of gesso, and it's too big to put on my desk, so I have decanted some into a Vegemite jar. No more Aussie than that, is there? So welcome to all our international guests. If you're joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, I am Melinda from Scrapbooking Craft. I should have said that at the start. And I make I can't talk today. I make and manufacture things. So all the products you see on my website, apart from the paper napkins that my daughter sells, I make and manufacture. So I can change the design, I can change the size, I can make custom things. So you can just email me, and if you don't see anything on the website, just email me and ask. The only thing I can't do a lot of is trademark items. Like, for example, I can't make Mickey Mouse ears, or I can't make the word Disney. Anything that's trademarked or copyrighted is a bit of a no-no, but anything else is fair game. So feel free. At the moment, these pieces are only in a large format on the website, but they will be coming in a smaller format soon. I just run out of time before the Great Australian Craft Show. There's a lot going on in my personal life at the moment that is sucking my time away from me. So if you haven't heard of gesso before, gesso is basically an undercoat. As you can see, those words have faded. So working in an altered book, I often have to start with gesso to prime my page. Not necessarily every time, but 99% of the time I do. Now we're just going to dry this off. So I'm just going to pause the video every time we dry something off. You don't need to watch me dry paint. It's a bit boring. For you, the video will just keep going. I will put all these little clips together, and it'll just like flip to the next clip. For me, it may take me 15 minutes to dry the page, or 10 minutes, or I may get interrupted. Life may happen, so I apologise for if it's a bit spitty and spatty today. I am filming this between running around and doing other things. That's life at the moment. I'll come back when this is dry. Okay, so I've got 99% of that dry. We can move on to the next step. So the next step is I want to create the big rainbow that you see in the background of the page. I'm just going to move my keyboard out of the way. So I have a selection of Dina Wakley paints, and I did have these in rainbow order before. Blue, green, I think we'll go pink, this one, this one, this one. Something like a rainbow. So Dina Wakley paints are heavy body paints. I get all my paints from Hillbilly Scrapping, which is another Victorian business here in Australia. Hillbilly Scrapping and I combine at the craft shows. So if you ever come to any, some of the Craft Alive shows we do, and we do a few other branded shows, paper craft shows in and around Victoria, we're hoping to get to the big one in Melbourne this year as well, as long as that C word stays away. So what I want to do is build the rainbow. So I'm just going to do it with my fingers because I love painting with my fingers. So I'm just going to start off with lemon, I think it's called. So I like Dina Wakley paints. A, they're nice and vibrant, and B, they're very pigmented. So they're very opaque. So I'm just going to start with I may not get to all the colours. I may have picked too many colours. We'll see. The clip you saw, or the photo you saw of the page, is I insert that into the video after I've done the page. So at the moment I'm not sure how many colours I'll use. But I thought it's good to have an idea of what I am making before I go ahead, for you, before scuffing that off onto some drop paper on the bottom. It's a good idea for you to have a photo of what I'm achieving or trying to achieve today. So I don't need to dry these completely because I don't mind if the colours mix a little. So this one is cheddar, one of my favourites, like an orange. When I get to colours that will mix and make mud, I will make sure they're definitely dry, and I'll pause the video for that. I am going to put black line and defining lines between these rainbows. A little bit more paint. I love that these paints are in a tube that have a really fine tip on it, so you can just squeeze out a small amount, which is great. Saves on the wastage. And these little pots of paint are very, very affordable. I don't like to quote prices because if you're watching this on YouTube a few years later, or if you're watching it from another country, the prices don't really well, the prices go up years after year, and they don't make sense if you're watching this at a later time. Okay, we're just going to give that a bit of a buzz. So basically trying to just get the edge dry. So next we're going to, so we've done those two, so we're going to go into, what's this one? Sedona. I love cheddar and Sedona. They're not, usually my colours, well my colours are sort of coming up, they're more the bright blues and pinks and purples, but I am loving the cheddar and the Sedona colour. They're more, I suppose, muted colours. Not really, don't like fluoro colours, but I like them to be bold and bright. Not really a pastel or a vintage person, which these would probably be more vintagey colours because they're that darker. You could easily do this with a paintbrush. I don't know, I just like the feel of paint on my fingers, and I do a lot with my fingers in my art journal. It can be very therapeutic. Now we're going on to blushing, which is like a pink. Oops. Oh, come on, paint. Probably tricked out my Fitbit off because I'll end up making it all pretty colours on my smartwatch. And if you hear a bit of buzzing, I apologise. My phone is going off, but I know who it is and I can ring them back. Just going to send it to Message Bank. I want a bit more of a curve on my rainbow. That's not the colour I had. This is the colour I had. I want a bit more curve up here. That's a big bit of paint. Actually, I might stand up and do this. Oh, it is a bit of a pointy rainbow, isn't it? That's all right. It'll still work out. A little bit more blushing over here. So I like that I can squeeze the paint straight on my finger as well and only get a small amount. Now I'm going to stand up and do this. So I'm just going to give that a buzz on the edge. I find I stand up and work a lot just because then I've got a bit more freedom, especially when I'm doing a double page or doing stuff like this. It's a bit harder to sit at a desk and do it. And my desk is a tad high. I feel like a kid at an adult table at the moment. So it's a bit easy for me to stand up and do it. I can get more of a sweeping action when I come down when I'm standing up. These are probably not true rainbow colours, but going for a bit of a rainbow. It's a page. This page is about me and my art supplies. That's what that little face thing at the front I showed you. That's a lot of paint. Baby wipe to clean my fingers up. Now I'm going to stop and dry this properly because the next colour I'm going to go into is green, and green and pink don't play nice together. Okay, so that's... Okay, I thought it was dry. Dry enough. Because those colours that I've been putting down sort of sit next to each other on the colour wheel, when I go to add green and pink, or should I put blue first? No, I'll put green. They will make brown mud, so I don't want them to do that. Hence why I want to dry them off. So that's a tip with art journaling. If you're using colours that don't sit next to on the colour wheel, that are sort of opposite, just dry them off before you put the second colour down, because then it's looking like a very kid's rainbow. Because then they'll sit nicely together, and once the paint is dry, acrylic paint is dry and permanent. It's going to be a nice funky rainbow. That's okay, in a funky mood today. A lot of times my art journal reflects what mood I'm in. And today my brain is very scatty, very tired. So we're going to go with it. And that's the thing about art journaling. Art journaling doesn't have to be pretty and beautiful every time you do it. It's nice if you like the page at the end, but that's not why I art journal. I art journal for the fun of it. I art journal because I like playing with paint and sprays and collage, and it's taking time out of my day to have a break from life, from all the stresses of being a mother and all the stresses of being a business owner, and it's just time to play. So I don't mind if my rainbow's wonky, if the colours mixed together a bit. See, I can't talk today. I got woken by bunnies this morning very early because they were in a spot they were not supposed to be. Naughty bunnies. Fixed it now. Cable tied all around their cage. They can't get under it and get out. Now, it doesn't matter that I go in with this night colour, or that last one was sky, because it's blue and blue, it won't really match. I probably need to get a new night. It is getting very low. I love this night colour. It's a very deep blue, almost a black blue. It's beautiful. Gives a real pop and a real contrast to things. I'll leave a little bit of white space. Doesn't matter. Not perturbed that the night doesn't go across the top of the page. It's a rainbow, and that's what I wanted to start with. I sort of want to also get the message out there. Yeah, art journaling doesn't have to be perfect. I look at some people's art journalings, and they're beautiful, and that's great. And they're very pristine, and they're very, very nice. But in reality, it doesn't have to be that way. As long as you've had fun along the way, really doesn't matter what the page looks like. I've lost my baby wipe. I think that's come up quite nice. Only thing I might do is add a little bit more pink in here. That was blushing. No, I want the darker pink. So I want magenta. So I just want to fix up this bit here. Other than that, I'm quite happy with it. So you could do this rainbow with coloured pencils. You could do it with, not over top of gesso obviously. You could do it with crayons. You can basically reproduce these pages using the materials you've got in your stash. Let me dry all this off and I'll be back. Okay, so our paint is completely dry, and you want it completely dry before we do the next step. So what the next step I'm wanting to do is just put some defining black lines, really sort of sketchy lines between the colours. So this is a black Posca paint pen. I finished painting, so I'm just going to take this paper that I've got sitting underneath the next page. It's basically to stop me from getting paint everywhere, and it's just some baking paper that we bake biscuits or cookies on if you're from the other hemisphere. So I'm going to put some quotes in these rainbows. So I was just double checking I had turned the camera back on. Sometimes I start talking and then I look up and I go, oh, I forgot to turn the camera back on after I paused it. So just doing some really sketchy lines. Whoops. I find sometimes sketchy lines are better than like one single line. So just following the line of the colours around. Can't really see it up here, but that's all right. We'll just bring it down a bit so you can. Okay, now we'll bring in this. So this is going to be stuck here somewhere. What I want to do is do some hand drawing in the spaces with the same colours. So this is very plain at the moment. I just want to make it a bit more colourful. So I've just grabbed some dual tip markers. These are from Kmart. So I want a red, I want a yellow, I want an orange. I'm hoping they show up. Just the same colour but a slightly different shade. I don't have a pink. I have to go find a pink pen. Okay, green. That might not show up. Let's go the darker green. Let's go the darker blue. We'll go pink with this one. So we've got yellow. We will go with these ones. We may need the pearl blue. So I just want to add some more designs. I'm going to start with the yellow. See if this works. I haven't drawn with these pens over this paint before. Okay, that's a good start. You're not going to see the yellow. Okay, let's go to the next colour. This colour was going to be the pink colour. You should see the pink colour. So I'm just wanting to add some line work. I'm not being too precious about it. I just want to add some pattern. So I'm going to do scallops on this one. And we're just going to do line down in our scallops. I'm going to try to do a different pattern in each of the... Almost, this page is almost like thinking back to your, I'll think of it in a minute, primary school days. So it's very cartoony, very childlike, but that's the sort of look I was going for. Apologise if you can hear cars outside. I do have the window open today because it is a gorgeous day. Beautiful breeze. It's not so hot now. I've used that one. Just going to swatch them down here on my bit of paper to see the best colour match. And this one's going to be just some cross hatches. This one's going to be quite subtle, the orange, but we are going to just keep going with just some childlike patterns in our work. I'm just going to go the other way. So this is just going to be a myriad of lines. I'm just having fun, really. So we've done that one. I need a light pink. This one's a orange. I wonder if it will show up on this. It may not be showing up on camera, but it is sort of there. And that's what I want. I want subtle. I don't want sort of in your face. Like, I don't want to put black here. I just want something so when the light catches the book, you sort of see the pictures. What time is it? Okay, now we want green, which is this one. And we might just do wiggly lines. Doesn't really matter what lines you do, just trying to match it up a bit. Now this paint is acrylic paint, so it has a bit of resin in it, so not all textures will draw nicely over the top of it. So you just got to experiment, and you've got to make sure the paint is really, really, really dry. A lot of this side's going to get covered up, so that's okay. Now blue. What sort of pattern I'm going to do with blue? Let's just do some dashes I've got the light shining on me so I can't see what I'm doing, and I'm just randomly putting dashes. These pens are like, they smell, so I think they're like permanent or almost like an alcohol based. You could use alcohol markers as well. But these were on my desk, so they got grabbed. I tend to do that. I tend to just grab what is on my desk to craft with, as opposed to go looking for what I know I've got. I'm going to write a quote over the rainbow on this side anyway, so I don't want this to be standing out, because I'm going to use the black to do a quote. But the rainbows just looked a bit plain, sitting by themselves. As you can see, I'm working quite quickly. I'm not putting a lot of think into it. Oh my God, words today are not playing nice. Now I've got this one and this one to go. So I can sort of see my dots here. The yellow, I can sort of see the lines. I will see it when the light catches it. Now I need a light pink. Might have to go dig out the alcohol markers. Let's have a look in here. What haven't we used? Oh, we'll go purple. Hopefully it's not too dark. What I'm going to do is just a few dots. Just pressing really lightly. It is a bit dark, but it's going to work. A lot of this side's going to be covered up, so I'm not too worried. Sorry if I repeat things I say. I sort of forget at the moment. It's hard to craft and film. Usually the videos I do, I voice over it, speed up the process, but these ones I like to do real time for you. So I do have lots of videos on my YouTube channel with which there's a YouTube channel. I've got two of them. One's called Scrapbooking which is our business channel promoting more of our products. The other one is called Alexis and Melinda Art Space, and that's where I just fool around with my 13-year-old and we just have loads of fun. So I might just put a squiggly line up here. And there's a lot of art journal pages on there as well. Okay, let's bring this back in. I always bring my focal point back in and put it on the page and think about it and work out what I want to do. I'm going to paint this bottom bit black. I'm going to leave her face white and I'm going to paint this blob on her hair a colour. And I'm going to put a quote over here. Just wondering if it needs anything else over here. But we will work that out as we go. So I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to grab I sort of had a black sponge here. This is just some drop paper that I use. It's nice, thin. It's like newsprint without the print on it. It's what we go and get here in Australia in the deli. If you ask for, here in Australia, we can go up to the deli part of the supermarket and you ask for like 2 pieces of sliced ham, or my daughter loves cabana, so every grocery order we get, every time we go to the supermarket, we have to get 1 stick of cabana, and that's her limit for the week. So they wrap it in this, and I save this paper, and it makes great drop paper. Plus, it makes good. It's nice and thin, so this will eventually go into my art journal. So when I paint this, like here and here, I deliberately don't go over the top of it, so I can tear those out and use them as elements. And you're getting sort of 2 for 1. Now, when you're stenciling, you sort of want to go over here. You want to load your sponge up, but you want to tap it down on a scrap bit of paper or your palette, and you don't want big chunks of paint on it because this is quite fine, and because I'm sort of wanting the negative version of it as well. These will be coming out in stencils, but probably not till middle of March 2020. 2021. Oh my God. Not getting used to saying 2021. Need a bit more paint. Oops, probably too much. So just an up and down motion. This is the same motion you do when you stencil anyway. So we're basically stenciling through the page, but we're also colouring the white mixed media embellishment. So we're getting a 2 for 1 deal, which is always good. So any products I use in this video that are that I sell, I will link under the folder, the Great Australian International, what are we doing? The Great International Craft Show. And that'll be a folder where all the 4 classes will have, I'm just trying to line it up again, will have the products copied into that folder so you can easily find them. If you can't find them, or if something sells out on the website, if napkins sell out, we probably don't have any more, but I can make unlimited amounts of chipboard white mixed media cardstock, and usually stencils if I have stencil plastic in stock, but I'm just waiting for another shipment of it. We do have stock levels on the website just due to the fact that I'm super busy this February, and I just thought it would be easier to take all the stock off. We don't have pre-cut, which is a lot of our older stock, and any order you place, everything is ready to go. But if you do see something out of stock you would like, you can just email us and I will make time to cut it for you. I just thought that was easier than having you place orders and then getting them delayed and delayed. Just drying that off. So I'll just dry off the piece on the paper as well, because I want to put my book back here and I don't particularly want to get black all over my book, although it's still coloured. So I've got 3 really cool pieces to use in a future art project. These are from another class I did, or a live I did. So these make great background things, or we can tear them up and use them as feature pieces. Why waste it when I can make something pretty out of it and get a second life out of my piece. I'm just going to put my lid on my black gesso because I don't want to accidentally tip it to the floor. I nearly did that in the last class, which would have been fun to clean up. Okay. So just making sure that is all dry. Bring our book back. And wow, that really pops on the black. Now, I'm going to fix up her neckline with a black paint pen. I'm sort of going to bring her neckline rounded down. There is a paint spot near her neck, but I have gone over it in the black. That's okay. I could paint the entire thing black and she'd have a black face, but I'm not wanting to do that. But I'm wanting to give her sort of a neckline that's going to go something like that. Now I've got to decide what colour I want to paint the splot in her head. Now the splot in her head is sort of cut out, but it's still attached, so it's a bit fragile, so you've just got to be a little bit careful. What colour is she going to have in her hair? Now, the colour will determine, because it's going to sit up here, so I want a quite light colour. Let's go with fuchsia. Magenta. Oh, I keep calling this one magenta. Fuchsia. Okay. So I want to grab some of that paper that I used before, the baking paper. I want to slide it on her head because I just want to get this on the splot. I'm going to decide if I want to keep her face white or give it a sort of a skin colour. In a minute. I thought it was appropriate to put a splot on her head because I've already got paint halfway up my arm. My daughter discovered. She goes, "Oh, what's that in your arm, Mum?" I go, "Paint." I have paint all over me when I craft. Okay, so just going to dry that off. Where did the heat tool go? Wet up my finger on a baby wipe. Now, oh, she's looking oh so pretty. Now, I do want to put black, I think, behind her face, and I did have a small piece of black hanging around, but I may have, oh, no, I think I spotted it. I was going to say I may have cleaned up, which is very rare for me. Okay, so I think it's going to stand out a bit more if I put black around her face, under her facial features. I think that's just going to frame it nicely. So I'm just going to cut, eyeball it, and hopefully it's the right size. Okay, we're going to stick that on, and then we are going to cut it out. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. I will glue the whole thing down with some glue, but I just want to tack this down, and I just want to make sure my tape doesn't protrude through any of the holes because I don't want to see it. So I'm just going to put it on her cheeks and her forehead. I just think her eyes and facial features will stand out a bit more if she has black behind her. I often do this with the white mixed media cardstock pieces. I will back them in a colour if they have cutouts, just to make them stand out from the background. Now all I've got to do is not cut beyond that sort of chin line, but cut off this extra bit. Doesn't matter how messy it is on the back, you ain't going to see it. We are going to see that bit because I didn't do it correctly. Let's try that again. I didn't want to go too deep because I've got that swirl I'm trying to miss, but I have to go. Sorry if I'm out of frame. If you're new to my channel, I do have low vision, so sometimes I need to bring things oh, excuse me. I need to bring things quite close so I can see them. Oh, actually we should have given her red lips. Let me stand up and have a look because I'm sitting on a weird angle. Okay, I'm liking that. Maybe we give her red lips. There's a bit of white paper. Do I have a little scrap of, oh, I can use this. Let's paint a bit and give her red lips. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off here. Just want to see what she'll look like with magenta lips. Will she have the same as her paint in her hair? Maybe she was painting her lips and the paint slipped from her lips and went up to her hair. So I'm just wanting to paint this. I could have used a piece of scrap pattern paper as well, but then this will match. And I think if we put red lips on her, she will come to life. Now I just want to try that little bit of paper. And a little bit of paint I put down there so I don't put anything in that paint. Okay. Now I just want to slide this under here because I know, ooh, I do like it with the pink lips. Okay. Or don't I like it with the pink lips? That is the question. I probably don't need a piece that big. Okay, pink lips. Probably only need a piece half that size. I don't necessarily stick stuff down until I'm really happy with it, so that can just, oh, I do like it with the pink lips. Okay. Now, what do I want to do with her hair and her skin? Do I want to give her hair? I'm thinking I need to give her funky colour hair. She can't have normal colour hair if she's an artist. So what colour are we going to do her hair? We want this to stand quite out, the splot. Give her yellow hair, green hair. Ooh, no, I don't want to give her yellow hair because yellow is down here. Because if I gave her green hair, her hair would get lost. So I'm going to paint green hair, and I might leave her face white because I think we do need a pop of white on the page. With my art journal at the back. So as you can see, I'm sort of making it up. Yeah, I am actually. Making a lot of decisions as I go. And that's one thing you can do with art journaling. You can go, okay, I'm going to use this person and I'm going to do a rainbow, but apart from that, you really don't need to know where you're going until you get there. Half the fun is getting there. So I'm just going to paint this. And yes, I could paint different colours in her hair and stripes and stuff, but I just want her hair to be yellow. What is going on with this splat? Oh, did I stick that down? Did I? Whoops. Oh, that can be brought up. Give it a fringe. So if you don't like the yellow, you can always paint over it a darker colour. I usually always go a lighter colour than, like if I'm going, oh, do I want this to be light or do I want it to be dark? I'll often go with a lighter colour first because it's so much easier to paint over a lighter colour than try to colour up a darker colour. I wonder if she needs, or do I bring black up there or do I bring, oh, probably her hair down to here. And then just got a splat that goes down. Trying to give her a fringe, a wavy fringe, so it's not just straight. And I'll leave a bit of white there because that's sort of her chin. Then it comes down to her dress. So that's what we're thinking it is anyway. I'm going to dry that off again. Lots of drying in art journaling. I'll dry that off and I'll be back. Okay, I've decided I want to do some pattern up in the black because this is very dark. So I'm going to do some circles and dots. Let's just do the bigger circles first and then I'll come back and fill it in with the dots. So again, just adding a bit of pattern. So when you're art journaling, if you have a dark spot like up here, if you add some white pattern or some white lines to it, it softens the darkness. If you have a light spot, come in and do it with a dark marker and it will tone down the colour. Actually loving that. Now just got to work out not to, I should have started from the other end, not put my hand in the wet paint. So this is a Pintor paint pen from Officeworks. I get a lot of my paint pens from Officeworks because I have to order from Officeworks for my business all the time and they sneak in the order. Pintor has lots of other colours, but I wanted to try the white one first and I may invest in some of the other colours. I tend to 90% of the time my line work is black and white, but it would be nice to have some other colour paint pens in my stash. Hillbilly Scrapping also sells some, I believe she has black and white Posca paint pens. Just getting new stock in all the time. So definitely check out Hillbilly Scrapping, another fellow exhibitor at the Great International Craft Show. Hillbilly Scrapping also does retreats in Ichukamoema 3 times a year, in usually February, May and September. And we're looking at doing some virtuals as well if you can't attend the in-person retreats because it travels too far, or you just can't get away from your family for 4 days, 3-4 days. We do virtuals over a weekend as well, which are so much fun. We have guest presenters come in and do guest presenting, and we have kits available for sale you can buy with full instructions, and I do instructional videos instead of written instructions because I don't do well with written words. I don't do well with reading or writing written words. Oops, and I've smudged that, which I don't want to do. Might just have to dry that off and then put a little bit of blue paint on the top of it. This is looking very Andy Warhol pop art inspired, which I'm loving. I studied art all through school and I love making artworks that are inspired by the masters. So I just want a little bit of, come on Night, I know you're very empty, I know I use you a lot, but please, there I'm talking to my art supplies, I do that very often. Gosh. When they talk back, I'll be Very surprised. I'm just going to go bigger than I need to be. I don't think that paint pen was 100% dry, but it'll work. No mistakes in art journaling. You just slightly change what you do, and there's always a way to fix stuff. I like to leave in the mistakes in classes because then it shows you that, hey, I'm not perfect as well. And it also shows you how to fix things. So you wouldn't even know I've stuffed that up. I have got my quote written down somewhere. I'll have to go find that bit of paper. But I am loving this. I've just noticed this needs a bit more gesso on it. So it probably needs to go. I want it to be really, really dark. So I'm going to do another coat of gesso on that. Let me pause. I'll go find my quote. I will set up to do another bit of gesso. I'm going to move this bit of paper and I will be back. So we're just going to give this a second coat of black because I've just noticed bits that I've missed. For anyone that's new to me and my business, I do have low vision. My vision is that sucky. I can't even drive a car. Can't get a car license. So sometimes I miss things and don't see things until I have a closer look at them. So just going to go over this with black gesso again. You probably can just do it in one layer. Often I have to do things twice. That's okay. I get used to it. So we're nearly finished this page. We're just going to blacken this up. I'm going to do a quote and stick my girl on. Oops, that was a bit blobby. If you do put a big blobby bit down, just go back and pick up the blobby bit with your sponge. And usually you can... I'm probably being a bit more heavy-handed than I need to be. Hand's getting sore. Gotta move my fingers. Hand's getting sore of going up and down and up and down. Because I want the background. I want this as well. Looks pretty good. Let's dry that off. Just swipe this. It's amazing how much paint remains in your makeup sponge. So I just usually just do it out in the paper until it's clean. I think that one's just about to go in the bin. Okay, let's give that a bit of a... Where did I throw my heat tool? Oh my god! Things are going to fall. I'll pause this and I'll come. What I also want to do before I stick it down is actually just edge her in a bit of black just to make her body pop or her hair pop from... Just looking for a specific pen on my desk. And why, when I go looking for something, it's never where I think it is. It's not in there either. Okay, second option. It's possibly fallen off the back of my desk. Okay, paint marker, it'll do. Looking for that alcohol marker because it's just got a chisel tip on it. But, oh, I don't know. Things get buried under my desk. But just do it with paint marker, it'll work just as well. So basically what I want to do is just find a spare piece of paper so I can see where I'm going, and I just want to put a little bit of a black edge around her hair. And I apologise if my head's getting in the view. I have to be quite close to see what I'm doing. Basically I'm just tracing around the edge of her hair just to give it, you can sort of see a bit of a definition. Some bits I've got a bit thicker than others. I'm just turning her around so I can get a bit of a black border, and it will just help her jump off the page. Oops. I missed this bit over here. I can always fix it up when I stick her on. Whoops. And I'm going a bit thick. Not really. Never an oops. As I heard from another YouTuber, it's never a mistake. An oops is an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. OPPS. Okay. Oh, I'm loving that. Oh, I'm glad I put the black on. Okay. Now, I just want to trim up this edge. Now, when you get your piece, this edge will be connected, but I get to play with all the broken pieces. So what I'm going to do is, just so it doesn't look funny, just cut it under that bit of paintbrush, and then when we glue it down, I'm going to just outline that with pen. Just going to grab my found my glue. Now I'm going to glue her on. Now I'm going to use the Craft Spot glue. I like the tip on this glue. I usually use in all my classes Helmar 450 that Hillbilly Scrapping sells. It's just when I'm doing fine stuff, I have issues with the tip. It tends to gush out when I press it. This one, I like the glue, so I've actually put Helmar 450 glue into this one, and it's just the different tip on the bottle. So I'm just going to put a little bit to glue down her paint splot on her head, and then I'm going to put a bit of glue on the back here just to catch that, and then I'm just going to run some glue around the head, and then I'm just going to hit the fattest bits I can find on this piece. You don't need to get glue everywhere, just picking out the fattest bits and sort of having and putting glue all over it. Does that make sense? So I'm going to position her here, and then we're just going to hold her down. So if you find you missed any bits, you can just sneak a bit of glue underneath, just wiping a little bit of glue away. Okay, this bit is sticking up, so I just want to add a little tiny bit of glue. This glue is more like gel, so it doesn't come out like a liquid. It comes out more like a gel, so it sticks down quite nicely. Need a bit more on her head. It's like super glue for scrapbooking, the Helmar's 450. It's fantastic. Okay, while that glue is setting up on, oh, I'm loving that, setting up on that page, I am going to do my title. I found it. This was my plan for this page. Very rarely do I have a plan, but I was fiddling one night and then I was too tired and had to go to bed, so I sketched out my plan of my page. Usually I just go for it. So the quote I want to put on here is, express yourself and let your, can't spell, creativity show on the outside. So express yourself. So I want to write it in the rainbow. So I'm thinking here. So express yourself, just seeing where we're going to place it. Express yourself and let your creativity show on the outside. Okay, so this one's going to be outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch my letters to match the rainbow. So it's sort of going to form part of the pattern, but we're going to make it a bit thicker after we go around it first time. And then I'm going to highlight it with white. So if you wanted to, you could leave a bit of gap between the black side, that's an eye, between the black of the rainbow. Whoops. A lot of whoopsies in this one today. I like how we stretch the letters because it's the quote's there, but it's not in your face there. You've sort of got to concentrate to read it. Does that make sense? Sometimes I don't make sense. We got creativity. Just want to give that a quick blast. Usually I wouldn't write on the bottom and then go up, but I want to sort of space it out. Just want to make sure you don't lean in the paint pen. Creativity. Creativity. C. R. E. A. T. I. V. I. T. Y. And it's handy to have it written on a bit of paper, because then you don't make a spelling mistake. Been there, done that. just going to give that a quick buzz with the heat tool. Okay. Express yourself, and so we want to, now got the top, so I want express yourself and let your, so express. If we do make a mistake, we can quickly rub off the paint pen because we're on top of paint. Express. It's supposed to fit yourself in there. Express. That's not going to fit yourself. And let your, okay, express yourself. That's right, we'll do it here. Yourself. Express yourself and let your, that's right, I can go up into here. I always have problem with spacing my lettering. And I did think about it this time. Usually I just start writing and get to the end and go, oh my God, it doesn't fit. Let your creativity show on the. So I'm going to go show on the. Show on let your express yourself and let your creativity show on the outside. So now we're just going to thicken them up a bit. As I said, I don't want them to be the overall dominating focal point. I want my girl to be. So we're just going to go in with the paint pen and thicken up and go over the letters because they were quite sketchy when I was doing them. I think this paint pen is having a bad day. Doesn't want to write properly. I have issues with Posca paint pens. I don't know whether it's just me or whether I leave them too long between using them. I just have problems, especially with white ones. Just trying to darken it, thicken it up a bit. I find it's easy to write it out to start with. And then maybe it's having trouble going over those pens from Kmart. I've not written over those before. Maybe it's that. You'll find that in mixed media. You'll go to use something and you go, oh, that product doesn't like to play with that product, and that product likes to play with that product. So it's a bit of experimenting to see what products work better on top of each other. Some products work better underneath each other. It just depends on, I know, for example, like Artist Liquid Inks and Gesso. White Gesso don't get along, but clear Gesso and Artist Liquid Inks get along really, really well. So it's just a matter of finding what things work. And if you're not sure, just do a test. That's what my art journal is all about. Sometimes I will test out ideas in my art journal for other projects, for cards or for scrapbook pages, to see if A, the technique will work, B, if the products I want to combine will work. Sometimes you just need to scribble. Maybe I'm not walking. Maybe the problem is I'm drawing too fast with the paint pen. Maybe it can't keep up with me. So your art journal is a fun place to test techniques, test products, swatch out colours. Now I want to dry that off. I just want to connect that bit. You won't notice that bit's missing. It's fun. I get to play with all the products I stuff up on the machine. This one just missed the area it was cutting. I don't mind when my machine has hiccups. It means more products for me to play with. Now I want to find my white. Where are my pens gone? It's my teenager been at my desk. Oh no, there it is. Oh, can't blame the teenager. I pushed it under something. Now I'll get this out of the way. I don't need my quote anymore. Okay. Now I just want to put some highlight on the letters. So I'm going to highlight on the left of the letters and the bottom of any letters. So just the left and sort of the bottom. I'm not tracing all around the letters. If you keep it on like the left and the bottom or the right and the top, it doesn't matter which two, and keep it consistent, it looks a lot better than just sticking white lines everywhere. And sometimes it's working out what part of the letter you got to do is the fun bit, but just adding a bit. And usually by the time I get halfway through, I've mucked it up and changed to the other side anyway. But that's right. If you put too much white, you can always go back and add a bit more. I'm sort of drawing on the edge of the black. It sort of darkens it a bit and highlights it. And this gel pen's not liking me either. It again might not like the surface of the paint to draw on. That's right. I sometimes don't mind it sketchy like this. Oops, creativity. See, it likes the gesso because it's got a bit more group in the surface. And this one will be interesting because it's through the middle of the book. Okay, now, do I want to add any white here? Maybe just a tad. Just add some little highlights. Not doing a lot. Just mainly because it was very dark. Just adding sort of some detail into some of the pens and the pencils. Just to add a little bit, because sometimes if you have a lot of pattern here, pattern here, pattern here, solid here, I'm wondering if I do anything with her hair, but I'm actually liking her hair, so I think not. And knowing when to stop is something I'm still learning after doing art journaling for quite a few years. What I might do is just outline the edge of the palette just on one side. Sometimes just outlining it half works really well. Now I think I am super happy with that page. I'm thinking about a hair, but I love the big pop of yellow. Absolutely love that page. I love it when I get to the end of an art journal page and love the page. Sometimes I get to it and go, yeah, okay. I sort of like it, sort of don't. Thank you very much for watching and being part of the Great International Craft Show in February 2021. These videos will be available on my in the Classroom library, so you can rewatch them at any time. And I would love to see if you create projects along the lines of projects I've created. Thank you very much. I have got to scoot. It is late here at night and I have travelled all day, so yes, my bed is calling. Thank you very much. Bye for now.